How do stems, note heads, and tails combine to create different rhythms in music? Note values and the different looking notes tell us how long to hold a note for. These note heads are ordered from shortest to longest. There are shorter ones and longer ones which we'll discuss later in the video. The red line displays how long they are held for in relation to one another. In British English, these are semiquaver, quaver, crotchet, minim, and semibreve. In American terminology, they are 16th note, 8th note, quarter note, half note, and whole note. Let's look at how these notes sound in a piece of music. We have other videos which explain time signatures in detail, and we'll link these below. We need a musical space to place these in for you to hear them. Let's use a bar, or also known as a measure, of 4/4. This means the bar has 4 crotchet or quarter note beats per bar. The number on top tells us how many, and the number on the bottom tells us which type of note it is. So, crotchet, quarter note, and there are 4 of them. Here is what 4 crotchets sound like. Next up, we have a minim, or half note. A minim or a half note has a hollow or empty note head and a stem. It's important to understand that a minim lasts twice as long as a crotchet or quarter note. Here's what a minim sounds like in comparison to crotchets in a bar of 4/4. A semibreve, or whole note if you're using American terminology, has an empty or hollow head and no stem. A semibreve lasts twice as long as a minim and 4 times as long as a crotchet or quarter note. Here's what a whole note or semibreve sounds like in comparison to crotchets in a bar of 4/4. And then for added comparison, here's what semibreves, minims, and crotchets, or whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes sound like when they're all played at the same time. A quaver, or 8th note, has a filled-in note head, a stem, and a tail. It lasts half as long as a crotchet, quarter note. Here's what quavers sound like in comparison to crotchets in a bar of 4/4. A semiquaver, or 16th note, has a filled-in note head, a stem, and 2 tails. It lasts half as long as a quaver, or a quarter of a quarter note, or crotchet, and you can fit 16 of them in a bar of 4/4, which is why they're known as 16ths. Here's what semiquavers sound like in comparison to crotchets in a bar of 4/4. Now let's do a quick true or false quiz to see if these notes add up in a bar of 4/4. The first one is false. These do not add up to 4/4. You would need to add this extra note in for it to add up to a bar of 4/4. Next one is true. These do add up to a bar of 4/4. Next is false. You'd have to take this note away for it to add up to 4/4. Now the shorter and longer notes than the ones first mentioned are here. These are demi-semiquavers, hemi-demi-semiquavers, and breves. A demi-semiquaver, or 32nd note, has a filled-in note head, a stem, and 3 tails. It lasts half as long as a semiquaver. Here's what demi-semiquavers sound like in comparison to crotchets in a bar of 4/4. A hemi-demi-semiquaver, or 64th note if you're using American terminology, has a filled-in note head, a stem, and 4 tails. It lasts half as long as a demi-semiquaver, and it's also known as a 64th note because you can fit 64 of them into a bar of 4/4. Here's what hemi-demi-semiquavers or 64th notes sound like in comparison to crotchets in a bar of 4/4. A breve, on the other hand, which is the longest note we'll look at today, is a double whole note. It has an empty or hollow head, no stem, and 1 or 2 lines on either side of it. A breve lasts twice as long as a semibreve, or a double whole note lasts twice as long as a whole note, and 8 times as long as a quarter note or crotchet. Now, you might be wondering, what are bars? Why are they different lengths? How do we tell musicians to stop playing or rest within a bar? Can these notes be changed with dots? What even is a bar? If that's the case, see the attached videos in the description and on our follow-on page, and continue your musical learning. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.